Oh, hello and howdy. Welcome to Angular Air. My name is Alyssa Nicoll, and I am joined today by one of my favorite panelists, Mike Brocchi. How you doing, Mike?
I get to the one of your favorite because I'm the only panelist. That's like, hey, here's a little backhanded insult, but
he's,
there you
he's
go.
literally my favorite panelist on today's show. He's number
Yes,
one.
thank you. I'll take it.
And also my favorite guest of honor, Chau Tran. Hi, Chau.
Hi, thanks for
Oh my
having me.
goodness. Thank you for coming. I pestered you because I saw you were actually slacking GDEs about something you'd been working on. And I was like, you want to come teach me that on air? And so poor Chau, he's been pulled into so many things because because of my pleadings, but I appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And thanks. I mean, as I'm preparing for today, I have two bad news.
Oh no! What's the bad news? Tell us.
So one of them was I didn't really touch my Angular 3 repo for the past week or so, and then for some reason I decided to wipe my machine, but I forgot to push the last 20 commits.
Oh,
But then I published without committing, so that's brave, right? Now I have to go trace, I guess, like trace from the published code back to my source code.
Oh yeah.
is your published code like mangled and minified or no?
No, it's ng packages, so it's very easy to go back to.
Okay.
But then, like, because I was iterating on the Angular 18 Zoneless so quick, I was like, push, publish, publish. I forgot to push to GitHub.
Oh, you forgot the GitHubs. At least you're on GitHub. My husband's using Bitbucket.
I checked the last commit on GitHub on the remote like 4 months ago. So I don't know how many hours I lost.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That is awful.
Yeah, and then the second bad news is I found something in the new Zoneless thing with Angular 18 that did not very line up with what I'm about to show today. But we can get about it.
We can get into it. Okay, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. Listen, it's been that kind of morning of like rolling with it and being tackled anyways. So,
but I think I can help save you in the future, Chau. With what we were talking about with what I've been doing with GitHub Actions, we can set up an automated deployment for you from GitHub Actions so that you always push in order to do a publish.
I actually have a script, like a local script, because I don't like automatic publish. I like semi-automatic publish. I still want to.
Wait, what's a semi-automatic?
Semi-automatic means that you get the changelog generated, you get the versions bumped, you get like a GitHub release created for you on your GitHub repo, but it's not actually published to npm until you go and hit release this yourself.
Okay, I see. Okay, so it's like ready but not. Because Mike, do you do automatic ones?
I would also say semi-automatic, but a little bit different. So our deployment workflow is that we will merge whatever to our publish branch, whatever we're publishing from, whatever branch that is, main master, some other older derivation. And that doesn't trigger a release. What triggers the release is pushing of a tag. And if you push a tag, then it will trigger the release and do a separate workflow based off of that.
Yeah. Is the tag like the branch or something? Like
it would be the version number that you want to publish.
Okay.
Yeah, usually that's the way. Like you cannot even publish until you push something. But then I am going to build this locally. CD into the disk folder, hit npm publish.
Oh, my friend, I am so sorry. I hope that it's not, because I've been there where I like lost a lot, and I hope it's not as bad, like, because, your head can like build it up. So I'm hoping as you get into it, it's not as scary.
It's all right.
No, all right. So I am getting our tweet live so more people can join us. But Mike, if Chau has anything to share, we can add that to the stream.
I'm on it.
Awesome. And
so I guess the plan is I'm going to share what I share in the GDE channel. I'm just going to share the app. I'm going to walk you through the app a little bit, and then I'm going to talk about how it works and why Zoneless helps.
Okay. So the three main things, if I remember correctly, that we're going to touch on is Zoneless. There was something else part of 18.
Angular 3.
Angular 3, but there was a third one. Was there?
It was like there were like new features, right?
Signals.
Mm,
But
yeah.
that's tied into Zoneless.
Yes.
Got it.
I like that, Chau.
I think we'll end up talking a little bit about how signals enable you to go Zoneless.
Yeah.
Is my theory.
Pretty much. So,
well,
yeah.
Hang on. Was that just spoilers from Mike Brocchi? Like,
no, I think it's like reading tea leaves. I mean, if you think about what's going on, that Zone.js basically listens to the browser for all these different events that basically says, hey, now I need to run change detection. Oh, this thing happened. I need to run change detection. And if you take that out of the equation, so you don't have any third-party thing to say, hey, run change detection, then you need a mechanism to know when to run change detection.
when to run it.
And signals makes the most sense.
Yeah, I really did push for the team to stop calling it change detection. And Mark told me, no way, sister. And I was like, listen, it's not change detection anymore, at least as we know it. And he was like, we're sticking with it.
All right. So what was your proposed idea of what to name it?
I just wanted us to throw that term far away from us, because essentially we're saying like change detection is changing. But because of the way signals works, it's not really what change detection was in our mental model anymore, because it knows who needs the changes. There is no change detecting, right? Like it's kind of a step above change detection. So I didn't have a really
rendered triggers.
Gosh darn it. We skipped over it. So I want to like rewind real quick and do a quick, for those of you watching live, or maybe you're watching the recording in post. Chau, can you do an introduction of who you are, and in case they've never met you before, maybe they're new to Angular. What's your passion? Tell us, Chau.
Okay. All right. Hi, my name is Chau. I'm an Angular GDE, and I'm working as an engineer at NX, working on NX Cloud and stuff like that. My passion is mainly developer experience in any kind of form. So if I work with Angular, then I kind of wanted to provide you a service that you can use for whatever you want to do, to use it for. Like Angular 3. If you want to build 3D applications with Angular, I hope Angular 3 is the answer, which I need more time to push to stable. So yes. Happy to be here.
Excellent. And you are, I'm going to get the mess it up, Narc1410 on the X's.
Yeah.
Or is that what you are everywhere on like GitHub and everything as well?
It's mainly NARTC everywhere. But
is it not Narc? Am I saying it wrong? I'm sorry.
I don't even know how to say it. It's C Tran backwards. So
you just blew my mind. I never knew. I assumed it was like some anime character that I was unaware of named that in my head. And so I was just like, wow. Okay. Thank you you took me on a journey already. All right. I'm ready now for some Angular 3.
All right. I'm gonna share my screen here. I'm gonna share the entire screen. So we're gonna have some paradox first.
And then I want to say hi to the chat. I don't have controls this morning because it's been a rough morning. But hi, Danny and Mateo, Wilmer, Lars, and Adam. It is freaking good to see all of you.
All right, you guys see my screen?
Can we see it, Mike? Can we?
I'm on it.
We can see it, and it's beautiful.
All right, there we go. All right, so this is, I call this NGT Ping Pong. I can share the link to the GitHub later. But this is a game, like a very simple game. Built with 3GS and of course Angular 3. And the point of the game is you have this paddle on your hand and you have like this little number on the paddle to display your score.
Mhm.
And as soon as you click, a ball will drop, and your goal is to keep the ball in the air as soon as possible, as long as possible. And then if it's dropped, then the game restarts, and that's it. That's the game.
No,
And
keep
this
playing.
I'm gonna. You can actually play with stack list. I'm gonna give you a stack list playing.
Yes.
So ping pong preset equals no. So I'm gonna set in StreamYard right here.
Hi, Inu. Good to see you.
Yeah. Anyway, and let's just show that even though the game is running and there's absolutely animation is running, and we can just use the profiler with the Angular Dev Tools to see that no chain detection is actually running until we change the state. So to keep track of the scores, right? When the game is over, and then we update the state. So only those trigger chain detection, and those actually driven by signals. And let's show the code.
I like it.
So we go to app config. I'm using provide experimental zoneless chain detection. This is a new provider to allow the consumers to opt into or to test out zoneless chain detection from Angular 18. So if you want to test if your application works with zoneless or not, just put this in. And make sure to remove.
Chat's asking for a bit of a font bump, and I also appreciate the font bump for my weak eyes. I don't know if it's possible to do a bit of a zoom.
Yes.
Ooh.
Okay, let me quit this one. And
Thank you. Sorry. Thanks.
Reset. How do I reset? Let me reset my service preference, reload preference. There we go. It's good enough. Or you
I think
more?
that's much better. Thank you.
You want light theme, so more contrast, better.
Oh, there will be a lot of people that hate you for that.
Okay. I know.
Like, how many people do you want to make angry this morning or evening? Like, what's your goal?
Yeah. All right. So back to zoneless. So this is how you provide zoneless, experimental, by the way, and you have to remove every single thing that has to do with a zone, which is you cannot have this. If you have this somewhere, or if your library implicitly provides this zone change detection, then you're gonna have to remove that.
Is there a way of like getting a report of everything that is using zones, like so that you can be like, aha, here's my to-do list, or not really?
Not really. So it's only that provide zone change detection, because that is gonna error out because it uses zone.js based on your not this one.
Okay.
Based on the polyfills, the zone.js polyfills, which I removed in this application.
So to be clear, I'm assuming that when you add this provider, and you're not getting the error from providing the other provider, providing a lot there, then I'm assuming you don't get any application errors at runtime. It's just that you would have to have some sort of end-to-end test to know that things aren't change detecting and therefore rendering, because it's not a matter of like a runtime error. It's a matter of certain events not happening to be able to make your application work. So you would neither need to do a manual regression test or automated end-to-end tests.
Correct.
It's kind of like Inu was saying, everything that depends on zone will throw an error. That's kind of going to be the checklist.
A partial checklist, because there's going to be parts of your application that just don't work or don't render.
But it's not. I see.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So when you it's like multi-step. So when you enable this, and if you still have the polyfills to zone.js in your Angular JSON or in your main.ts with like import zone.js, if you still have that, with this provider, then this provider is gonna have like a warning when you first run your app saying, oh, you're running in experimental zoneless, but you still have polyfills to zone.js. So that's like a warning. All right, now you say, oh, so I should go remove that polyfills. As soon as you remove that polyfills, anything that relies on the global zone.js object is gonna fail, and it's gonna show up in your runtime. So that's your second kind of like checkbox. And then it's the third thing and the fourth thing would be end-to-end testing and manual testing, probably.
I forgot about those. Totally. 100%. Yes, of course.
All right. Why not? Okay. We have time, right? Let's
Yes, I love it.
go to polyfills. I don't know if I got this right or not. Zone.js. All right. So now, if I rerun this one, I should see a polyfills chunk that contains zone.js. And if I go to the application, now I see that warning. This is the warning I'm talking about.
Oh.
So the application is using zoneless chain detection, but still loading zone.js. So you will see this warning, which prompts that, oh, let's go remove zone.js. Right? And I'm going to go remove zone.js, but I'm going to go back to my app config, and I'm going to pretend that I will provide zone change detection with like event coalescing, whatever. I'm going to save, go back to application. The application is going to fail at runtime. Oh, you say provide zone change detection, and this cannot be used together. This is probably a new message for me, because before it was like zone.js is not available or not defined, whatever. Yeah. So that's the two warning and errors you're going to run into.
Am I correct that it will be a small portion of applications that would actually already be providing Zone.js that way?
It should be at the global level, and usually that should be the responsibility of the consumer at the app level, not the library level.
Right, but I'm just saying that I don't think there's a whole lot of libraries that are manually providing Zone.js at that level. It's just the polyfills there, and hey, I'm happy because it's there, and things change when I make changes.
Yes. All right, so that's the zoneless thing. So this is how you start with zoneless. And let's look at the component. So this is my app component, which just renders the Ping Pong component. And then the Ping Pong component renders the canvas with this scene. Scene is a component that passes to the scene graph input. And then this experience right here, this scene, now this will be rendered inside of the canvas, inside of the 3D canvas. So none of this will show up in the DOM. And we can show that by go to this, and this is the canvas. And none of the lights, the walls, none of that shows up. So this is the Angular 3 territory. And the goal of Angular 3 is to leverage Angular template to build your 3D scene, because the 3D scene is usually referred to as a scene graph. So it is a graph which can be represented by the template, the XML style template. And by having this, I can have, let's say I have one ball here. I can definitely have another ball if I want to. I can just do this if I want to have two balls. And let's say I don't want to see the light. This probably won't work, but that's pretty much the application. We can go into some of these to see how we load data. So, for example, paddle is a model, is a 3D model. So it's like pingpong.gob. GOB is a file format commonly used in like 3D modeling. So I got this from the World Wide Web. And then I load that with a special inject function that returns a signal. So all of Angular 3 APIs kind of like this return signal, so that you can use compute it, and then you can use that on your template, and will react to change.
Is that GLB file the equivalent? Because in my head, I went, oh, it's like an SVG, but in 3 dimensions.
Pretty much, it's
Okay.
like a bundle of JSON files with a bunch
Okay.
of information. You can also have like animation built into these GLB files, like a car with like a smokes going out of it and something like that.
I feel like you guys are on another level, and I need to take a step back so that I can join you.
Okay.
Real quick. So like Angular
Yes.
3
Yes.
allows me to do 3D things in Angular by how? Is it giving me like the ability to include these special GLOB files, or what is it doing for me?
Okay. So this is the app. I mean, I just kind of want to show like the APIs a little bit, but let's take a step back, and I kind of prepare an NGT ng-air demo, which is much simpler.
Oh, I love simplicity.
Okay. Let's go to this one, and let's go back to this one.
I also really like your theme colors. Did you make the theme?
Nope, I'm using GitHub theme.
I like it.
All right, so I have this application right here, which just render a cube, a gray cube.
Okay.
Normally, with 3JS, I'm going to go to 3js.org, go to the documentation, and I'm going to scroll down to the end here. This is normally how you would go about creating a 3JS application. You would need a scene, a camera, and the renderer. So anything you want to render, you have to push that to the scene, and you just have the camera to look at the scene, and now you have the renderer to render that scene and the camera. So this is like the most minimum requirement you have to set up your scene. And then now all of these like box geometry, mass basic material, the mass, all of these entities inside of 3JS will be your objects. You want to create a box? Here's the geometry for it. You want to create a donut? There's a donut. If you want to create like a plane, whatever, all of these are in 3JS. And you have this like imperative style of you have to create a geometry, you have to create a cube, and then you add that cube onto the scene. Right?
But you had a special shape that like wasn't from 3JS? No? Yes? Maybe?
No, as I mentioned before, you can kind of think of 3JS represent your 3D scene in like a tree, a scene graph, with the scene is the top level, the topmost parent. And you have an object which is a child of the scene, another object which is a child of the cube. You can build your scene graph in like a tree style, and that very applicable to the way that like HTML or template or even DOM elements work. You have div, and then you have button inside of the div, very similar. What Angular 3 provides, it provides a custom renderer for you to do this instead of like creating new 3 mesh, new 3 box geometry. So you have this mesh right here. You say that, oh, this mesh will have a box geometry shape. You put the box geometry inside the mesh.
Is it weird to have 2 different renderers talking to each other like in an Angular app, or is that not weird?
It is definitely weird because I'm the only one that does it.
Okay.
But it works very nicely because you can provide a custom renderer on different levels.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remind me again where the canvas is created. Is that part of any top level piece, or is that? Oh, you already have the canvas. Okay.
Yes, this is the NGT canvas component. This is the entry point into the Angular 3 territory. And this NGT canvas, there's a reason why this is an input and not a template. So normally you would think that, oh, I have a canvas and then I want to push my stuff inside of here. I say, oh, NGT mesh, blah, 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 inside of here. But that doesn't work with Angular custom renderer. You have to pass in like a component like this one. And then inside of NGT Canvas, I have API to call create component. And that is when you provide a custom renderer for the scene component and its children. So this right here, this template still runs with the default DOM renderer from Angular, but this one runs with the custom renderer. So far, so good. Oh, I still lost.
I'm kind of wondering, like, so NGT Canvas and everything inside of it is running with the custom renderer, but like, what's the order? Does that all run first, and then it talks to like the Angular's renderer, and then the app spins up with that information in mind?
No,
Almost
so
no.
well, it runs. It definitely runs first because of the way that dependency injection works in Angular, right? So when Angular see, oh, I need to go render this scene component, internally Angular is gonna find out what is the renderer associated with this scene, because remember, even if with just the Angular renderer, you still have encapsulation. And then I say view encapsulation dot emulated shadow DOM. Each one of these options gonna create a different renderer inside of Angular. So this component, say, oh, this component has to works with shadow DOM view encapsulation mode. That is the shadow DOM renderer.
Okay.
So Angular already has the mechanism of associating renderer with a specific component. So when I say that, okay, Angular render this scene, but before that, in the NGT Canvas component, I provide a custom renderer so that when Angular dependency injection looks up at the renderer symbol or the renderer injection token, it finds the renderer that I provide.
Okay.
So it just use that. And then my renderer injects the parent renderer so that I can interrupt with the default renderer.
Okay.
It's very
so
custom renderer is not like a new concept. It's like native script uses custom renderer as well to render their stuff into the mobile native. But then they don't have to interrupt with the DOM renderer.
Right.
I do have to because this is Canvas. This is still on the DOM, right?
That totally makes sense. Okay. So this is all, this app right here that we're looking at is to put a 3D cube into the DOM, yes?
Yes.
Is it using signals or no? Not really.
Right now I'm trying to like demo that what the difference between V17 and V18 in terms of signals versus just regular class property. All right. So I'm gonna do that right now. And let's add something. So that we know that this is
And what version of Angular are we running here right now? Is this 18?
This is 17.
Okay.
This is 17 right now.
Okay, before render, we're adding.
So on before render, I need the object, which is the 3.mesh. And I can do rotation.x. Save. Let's see if it works. Here we go. Console. This is not correct way to do that. It is a basic material thing, and now we have the color. Right. So now this is just to show you this is actually a cube, a 3D cube, so that it's spinning, right?
So you can see it. Yeah.
Earlier it's just like a div. It's just like a div with like.
Is it? Can you inspect it for me? I just want to see it real quick. I just want to see. Is it a div? What is it?
It's spinning. I'm showing that it's spinning, so it is a cube. Earlier,
it's not just a 2D square.
Yeah, earlier without it spinning, you look into it, you're like, oh.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yes.
Can you put 2 rotations on there? Rotate
for the Y2
or X?
Yes.
Just because I think it illustrates because it just there we go. Perfect.
Okay.
All right. So all good and all good. All right.
Yes.
But then now we get to. So this is where I need to. So let's keep going. Okay. Sorry, work has been busy.
Yes. I feel you
right.
on that. I appreciate you so much, Chau.
Right. So let's say that. Oh, now you saying Angular 3 allows you to leverage the Angular template to build 3D scene. Great. Right. I can render the cube and not whatnot. But what if I want to change some state? Right. That's the main, I guess, selling point of using something like Angular. You can change state. You can react to state interactions. So let's say that I want to click this cube in Canvas, not DOM, in Canvas, this object in Canvas, and has its react or change some state that can change its own state. So here I have an active false. And when I click it, I just toggle this active flag.
Okay.
And I bind this to the scale. So when it is active, it's supposed to be bigger, 1.5 times bigger.
Okay.
When it's not active, it stays the same. But right now, you see that I click the console logs so that the click event actually works, but the state chain doesn't react or doesn't trigger the render. And this is because of Zone.js. All right, I'm going to stop sharing now.
You're getting a lot of love, by the way.
You are in the chat. A lot of love.
I might go a little bit fast.
No,
No.
I think the pace is good right now.
And
Feel free
people
to
are
stop.
saying that, like Lance was saying, how amazing it always is watching you live code. And then who was that just now?
Can you
Also
reshare my
loving the live
screen?
coding.
Yep, I got you.
You're getting a lot of love.
I told Alyssa I would prepare some slide, but I didn't really have time, so I just draw something.
Oh, but it's beautiful. I love it. Oh.
All right, so here I have a what you're seeing right now. It's your regular web browser, right? And then the entire canvas, which these are like the 3D objects inside of that canvas. And for example, this object is clickable. This one is hoverable. So you might need an event system. They are not DOM events because they are not DOM objects. As you see earlier, they're not represented on the DOM tree because everything is inside of the canvas. Angular 3 already renders outside of zone. So really there's like the gap between Angular 3 and the chain detection mechanism. I need to communicate with the chain detection properly from this event system. And I want to provide familiar syntax to Angular developers. So something that you saw earlier, the NGT mess with the event binding syntax, click. So this is the code we just looked at right here. So we have NGT mess, click on click, and I want to buy that. So very similar, like any Angular developer would understand what's going on by looking into this. Like, oh, you have this mesh here. You want to change the scale property on this mesh by clicking and changing the active flag. And I want to emphasize that it's not add event listener click. Right? So now, how do I, from Angular 3 internal, inside of this onClick component that is authored by the consumer, by my users, still be able to talk to the chain detection mechanism? So right now, DOM events inside of Angular uses Zone.js to patch that. So Zone.js knows that an event on the DOM element happened, and tells Angular chain detection, say, hey, there's an event happen. Can you please run chain detection? That's pretty much it, right? So here I have something which I'm planning on writing more or annotate more so you understand. So on your template, you would write something called your component. And inside of your component, you would write something, say, div. The representation of that is your component would render an HTML element. This is the tag of your component always. And then the div will become HTML div element. This is the work. I'm going to use a pen. So right here. So this is the work of the renderer. The renderer would take your template and turn that into the representation of whatever you want to represent it.
The angular renderer or the
The DOM renderer, the angular renderer does this. My renderer would turn the NGT mesh into a free mesh. So this
is
the
that
renderer
because the
layer.
angular renderer speaks three JS, like it knows what that is?
No, the Angular renderer speaks HTML.
And you're saying a 3 mesh is HTML?
No, a 3 mesh is a canvas object. So 3 mesh is a library, or 3 is a library which can talk to canvas. And Angular 3 talks to 3.
So is it like a 3-person sandwich with like Angular 3 and then 3 mesh, like 3JS, and then the Angular renderer? Like it's like multiple?
No, okay, so here. So your template, this is your code.
Yes.
Right? This is your code right here, right? This is the renderer, which is sits in between, because the renderer has to read your template and tells Angular what you write. So you write the div, but it doesn't really mean HTML div element until the renderer says it so.
Okay.
Right. Internal Angular in Angular core, all Angular deals with is just node. I don't remember exactly what the full name, but it's just node. Inside of like Angular keeps track of its own graph, and they represent your element with node. And this is the reason why that you have element ref. You can inject the element ref, right? You can inject the view container ref, and you can inject like chain detector ref, like all of these injectable things that you can inject by just writing your template is handled by the internal Angular core. So because these node, you can actually get that node by an API call. I'm going to use this. It's called get debug node. And then you pass in the instance of that, so I can pass in this HTML div element. This get debug node will return me that internal node right here. So, and on this node, I have the injector, which allows me to get the chain detector ref. So keep that in mind right now. You don't have to understand, but keep that in mind. This is the kind of like the clue code that let's look at core O renderer. Right here. Right. So what you're looking at on, oh, sorry. Let me change my screen again. So remember that get debug node, right? Let me change my screen again to this. All right, can you see my screen?
Yep.
You're looking at the listen function, right? And the listen function is a function that, can I show this? Right around here, right here. Right. So you see this listener. This is Angular IV instruction. When you have the event binding syntax on your template, Angular compiler is going to produce this listener instruction, which knows how to deal with event binding syntax. So we have the before render, like the parentheses binding syntax, and then we have the click. This listener instructions end up calling the listen function on the renderer so that it knows what to do with it. The default DOM renderer of Angular has this listen function that will go and do add event listener on the element. But I don't have that. So in order for the Angular 3 to work before was to grab the debug node of the target. So this target is the NGT mesh that I write on the template. So I get the debug node of this, I get the injector, and then I get the chain detector ref. And then the callback that you pass in the onClick, I have to call chain detection after I call that callback for you. So this is the code, the old code in Angular 3 that I had to write in order for chain detection and the event system to work. Is even like crazier when you get to like the parent chain detector ref and all of that stuff. Like dealing with chain detection on your own is painful.
and then you're a man in the middle trying to handle change detection as well with the renderer.
Yes. Right. So all of that is to show that it sucks. So now back to this. Let's say that, oh, now we have signal. Let's use signal. All right. I'm going to change it to signal. I need to import this one. And then I need to change this one to that. And remind you, this is still V17, okay? All right,
you got a lot of love in the chat. People are thinking you're pretty cool, by the way.
Thank you. I just think I'm blabbering. I'm sorry. All right, here, I have signal now, but it still doesn't work, okay? It's because in Angular 17, Angular doesn't have the code to react to signals on the template yet. All right, now I'm going to change to my main branch, which is Angular 18. All right, so now I'm install. Let's go back to package.json. Excuse me. Right here, Angular 18. So go back to my experience component. Let's see if I'm actually inside of Zone. Yeah, I'm using Zone.js right now with my example.
Okay.
Run it. Remember, this is my bad. I should have not changed that. Material and pass that in. There we go. Save. There we go. All right. It still doesn't work with plain class property. Now, if it changes to signal, again, import that. This is now that. I guess it works, but now it works. So signals now works with Angular 18.
So was it even possible to do this before? It was just very painfully, or not really?
So before, it is possible before, but as you saw earlier, I guess you just saw the code, that internally in my library code have to deal a lot with that, and it's not even right. It's like best guesstimate at best.
Okay.
So now if Angular changed the way they trigger chain detection, aka not through the chain detector ref anymore, then it kind of sucks for me, right? So now they deal with this, just use signals, and then you're good. And as I showed earlier with the NGT Ping Pong, almost all of Angular 3 APIs return signals. So that it's kind of like it's forcing you to work with signals in a sense.
Work with them.
Are you still going to call the change detector ref as you were, or are you going to take that out and say, hey, if you're going to use Angular 3, you need to use a signal?
So here is the core old library. If I look at the new library now, look at the listen right here. There's no reference to chain detector ref whatsoever. I don't have to deal with it. My responsibility is take your scene graph, render it in the canvas, and that's pretty much it. The callback that you pass in, I pass it in as is. I don't like override it. I don't call anything for you, and it just works with signals. So this is the updated code without any chain detector ref shenanigan.
So you have zero dependencies on zone or the requirements of zone.
No, nada.
How
So
hard was this for
that's-
you? Like
yeah, that-
whenever you first started implementing it and trying it, like because you made it look really easy just now, but was this hard? Like to go through and be like, let's get rid of zones.
It's a lot of iterations because so I draw a lot of inspiration from the React ecosystem. They have a React 3 fiber library, which is absolutely beautiful. And they work based on React renderer as well. In React, they call it reconciler, but it's a renderer in a sense.
Okay.
With very similar like ability here that you can just drop JSX tag on your template on your JSX, and then the React 3 fiber would know what to do with it. AKA they would know to render that to the canvas instead of like the DOM.
Good point here with from chat. Without signals, if you were to use the async pipe to handle that, would that have worked up front?
That would still work, absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Because async pipe would call chain detection for you.
Going down to line 23, well, down to 23, you still have change detection on push. Because I haven't played with Zoneless at this point. How much do you need to sprinkle on push throughout your application in a Zoneless application?
Not much right now. Just set on push on your, let's say in a normal application where you have route components or where you have route. Just put on push on your top level route.
Is that needed because
routed component?
The routes are not zoneless?
No, because the chain detection strategies actually inherit like down. So the parent is on push and the children is on push as well.
Okay.
So you don't have to sprinkle on push everywhere. But then, for
The top
example,
level.
if you build like a UI component libraries that you know is going to be reused almost everywhere, you want your UI component libraries to be on push. Because you don't know where the user is going to use that, in what hierarchy. Will that hierarchy has on push or not? So you want to guard your own UI component libraries with an on push. Now later on, when we have signal components, like fully signal components, like
tomorrow
strategy, and you don't need on push anymore, but you have to drive your template entirely with signals. So if you have like observable, you want to turn that observable into a signal before you use that in the template, like to signal or whatever.
Okay.
So today, what you can do today is to drive the template with signal. If you have observables, turn them into signals before exposing them to the template. Then you will be very, very safe to migrate towards signals component or even zoneless.
Okay. Do you think, I feel like it's soon. I feel like we're very close to signal components.
We're very close. We're very, very close. maybe. One version.
But yeah, like maybe this summer. I don't know. Like, who knows?
Be prepared for a dev preview label on this.
Oh yeah.
Yes. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Now
I'm overwhelmed with like the level that your brain can take things. It's very
if we still have time, then I can show the second sad thing that I mentioned at the beginning.
Oh yeah, we got 5 minutes.
I have one question real quick.
Yeah, what's your question, Mike?
When moving to Zoneless for this application, I know it's not a huge application. Not that it's not cool, but it's not a huge application. Have you noticed any performance improvements?
Well, at least I don't have to pay 80 kilobytes for Zone.js, but not very noticeable.
Fair. I think it'll be more noticeable on larger applications.
Yes.
I think as Chau was saying, the developer experience seems to be a lot better. So at least there's that win. Like implementing it seemed easier on that side, but
The developer experience, it really depends on the level of async operations that you have, because Signals right now, I mean, it works, but to deal with async operations like we used to deal with HTTP client is not good.
okay.
So I think we have to have some kind of primitive to deal with asynchronous resources. But yeah,
or at least a pattern to use promises and or observables to make those. Yeah, the template should still be synchronous, is what you're saying.
Yes, that because so that's the perfect model for Signal. Signal is synchronous. You always have to have like a default value, an initial value, and that's very, very in line with the template. The template will always have an initial state, even though that state will be no display, like an if check, right? So the template will always have an initial state, same as Signal. So that's why, personally, if I expose a library today, I would expose a Signal, and that Signal will have the type of Signal data on null. Let the consumers do the null check explicitly, because that represents that template state better.
I think it would be dependent on the library type, but I don't want to get into that philosophical discussion right now.
Yeah, I know.
You said you had another that you wanted to get into.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
something.
yeah. So right now we are not using Zoneless. Yes, I'm gonna go provide experimental Zoneless chain detection here. I'm gonna go and remove the zone, and then go back here to my experience. I don't know what's happening here. There we go. I'm gonna do the before render again. On before render, any event dot object. Object. On before render, mesh dot mesh, and then do mesh dot rotation dot x. We have this as well. Save. What is this?
Yeah, why is it?
Are
those like little inline errors?
All right, I'm gonna just restart this, remove the cache to make sure that it's all changed. Right, no polyfills anymore, and no warning. So we're running Zoneless. Things still work, but what caught me by surprise is that when I turn on the profiler, I start recording. Now chain detection fires every frames.
What? Why? Oh no.
Yeah, this is because of the internal implementation of the Zoneless chain detection. So now this is good news for people. Bad news for me, but good news for people is that Angular, when like with the Zoneless chain detection, when Angular sees an event syntax, right, and this trigger whatever component, Angular is gonna send a notification source. They call it notification source of listener to the chain detection. And for notification source listener, they will always trigger chain detection. This is to ease the migration path towards Zoneless, regardless of what type of state management that you're using today.
Do you think will? So if it is, in fact, to ease migration and not because that's the best pattern for it to be, do you think one day it won't?
The end goal is to have Zoneless with Signals component.
Okay.
In the Signals component in the future,
yeah.
Signals component will have a mechanism to not trigger chain detection with that type of things.
Okay.
So now there's before render is API is kind of like a regression for me now. So I have to find a way for a consumer to do animations.
Okay, I see.
But that's my sad thing this morning.
that would be a sad thing. Aw. So you basically kind of get to implement what the signal components will be implementing before they come out. Like if you want to
I would,
right,
I would
like
do
to
that.
handle that.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Dude, are there any questions, Mike, that we didn't?
There was an interesting question about whether or not signals are compatible with Angular elements. I don't see why not, because elements is a part of core Angular, and obviously signals are now supported. I would assume the answer is yes. The quick answer is create an Angular element and try it.
I haven't tried Angular element for so long.
It's
I
been a
was gonna
while.
say, are people still are people using Angular elements? Like, is this a thing I'm unaware of? I did not.
There's
I
still
really
a
truthfully
thing.
thought they kind of like silently went away. I don't know. Maybe they're a thing in the
I believe
world.
it would really surprise me if it wasn't, because Angular elements, if I remember correctly, tree shakes out and takes what it needs of Angular to be able to run the custom element and runs it independently in the browser. But yeah, it would surprise me if it wasn't
If it
compatible.
wasn't. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of just web components or web elements in general, you would probably have like a mechanism to do like state management inside of that element's implementation. But from Angular standpoint, when you use that that element on Angular template, you would drive the state of that element using Signal, so it would just work.
Okay.
Agreed. I didn't see any other questions in chat that we
very
left
cool.
unanswered.
So we're gonna do some picks. If we have any technical or non-technical, something you want to shout out for this week. And I'll let Mike go first. So Mike be thinking, but I just wanted to say thank you again, Chau, because this has been very enlightening and I always love learning from you. So thank you.
Thank you.
The only thing is check your streaming providers. There's a lot of really cool new shows releasing in June, July timeframe.
Check your streaming provider. What does that mean?
So if a lot of new shows are releasing, that's all I'm saying. So I know that The Boys is coming out, things that I watch, and Umbrella Academy is coming out, I think.
Oh, you're not saying like make sure you're on the right streaming provider.
No,
You're
no.
saying go look at whoever you stream with.
Some cool things have been releasing show wise, so go and see if the show that you're watching has new seasons on.
Mine is actually exactly related to that. I have a new streaming provider called Dropout TV, and it's similar to like any other streaming provider. It's amazing though. I love they do like a lot of role play, like D&D games, live, things like that. But then they also have like a lot of just comedy game show type stuff. It feels like the nerds version of Saturday Night Live is what it feels like. So yeah, Dropout TV if you need more content, because right now our life is not filled with enough backlog of content. All right, what do you got, Chau?
Remember to push your code.
Oh, that one hurts physically. Like, God.
Don't just commit. Remember to push your code.
Push your code in my head though, because I have a couple of projects right now that I'm working locally on, and I have quite a list of pushes. Like, I haven't actually pushed up, but I've committed. Like, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, this is such a call out.
And I mean, spend some time to customize your work environment, your dev environment in a way that information is upfront to you. For example, use some prompt that lets you know if a repo is behind or ahead the remote.
You're saying build in some safeguards for your workflow.
Yeah. If you have a lot of repos. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, friend, I'm so sorry. Why'd you have to do the wipe, by the way? You said wiped your. Why'd you have to do you wiped your computer, right?
I wipe my machine once or twice a year.
For I don't understand. Like who does this?
I do.
Performance for fun? For like
what? For fun. because the thing is, I use a lot of different tools, and when those tools update, I don't want to go and update. I just want to use the whole thing, the new thing. So just
no, that makes sense. I have recently found out that you can't always like trust a tool to actually clean up after itself or to actually stop running in the background. I've done some some digging on certain tools. And I'm like, are you kidding me? You're so I get it. I understand now. I feel you. So, well, thank you again, Chau. Any last shout outs from the chat, Mike? Are we good to close it out?
I think we're good to close it out.
Excellent. All right. Well, if you will hit the end button, I will say goodbye to everyone. And thank you, chat, for making this such a fun show. And thank you, Chau, for teaching us again. It's amazing every time you come on. So thank you.
Very, very cool.
All right. Bye, everybody. Mwah.